Hi, I just wanted to share my process again. This is my first YouTube video. I did do like a little tutorial on TikTok and I was like, wait, this is kind of fun. And so now here I am with a whole 20-minute-ish video showing my process. So obviously start out with a sketch, and I try to work as like zoomed out as possible so I don't lose the flow of the piece and I can like see the whole thing the whole time, and so that I don't get caught up in any of the details. See, like I'm already kind of getting caught up in the details of the armor and stuff, but I back out again and work on the whole scene. And yeah, that's basically the first part of it. And then while I'm doing this, I have a lot of references pulled up, which I think will show up later in the video. And then after I'm done with that initial little messy sketch, I sketch over it again. And I still try to avoid as much detail as possible because I used to be really occupied with like the line art, but lately I've been like drawing over the sketch, and that's been really helping with my work not being as stiff as it usually is, because that's like my biggest struggle and the thing that gets me the most irritated while drawing is that. And so yeah, for this drawing, I based it off a character portrait I did like just the other day. I've been like really struggling with drawing like normal looking people, and I was like, he's gonna be ugly, he's not gonna be cute, and that did not end up happening. But oh, here you can see the references I'm using. One, my own portrait, and then just a couple other things I pulled off Pinterest. And for the references I use PureRef, which is super helpful. I think it's free in the capacity that I'm using it in, which is like 10 photos at a time probably, and you can save your scenes and it's really nice to use. And so yeah, you can see I'm just adding some of the details, still just keeping it really loose, because that is, like I said, my main downfall. And so yeah, I'm just keep adding more details, and then I flip it horizontal and I freak out like I always freak out, but it's okay. And so yeah, I'm just checking how the posture looks. I also like Clip Studio Paint. I mean, I think you could do this on any program where you can see the little like preview, and so it's nice to just see the whole scene as it plays out. And then I also considered adding a second person, but I was like, nah, I really only feel comfortable with one person right now. And so yeah, I just do that. And then here I think I took like a break. It sped up a little bit, yeah. So yeah, and then I finally go in with just a few more details of the face, just so I have some sort of idea what I'm doing. Still try to keep it really loose. Try to make it as similar to the portrait as possible, but again, not too detailed. Let's see how many times I can say detailed in this video. But yeah, for this character, I wanted him to be a commander type figure, a soldier. Again, I tried to make him a little average looking, and that did not end up happening. But I can't resist drawing nice looking men. And so yeah, adding just a few more details. Oh my god, if I say that one more time, it's fine. I think soon I start finally coloring, or at least getting the flat colors down. And then here, just making final touches, because if your drawing isn't solid, the whole thing isn't going to be solid. And I have done that so many times in the past where I've just completely had to start over, or I just give up on a drawing because the pose was never solid to begin with. And I find it's always worth to go back and really fix it, even if it takes, like, I think this took me 20 minutes to like refine the pose. Then here I am going in with the flat oil brush. I talked about it a little on my TikTok. I love it. It makes it so that I never really have to touch the smudge tool, which is so nice, because I do love Clip Studio's smudge tool, but it's never perfect, and sometimes it like pulls other colors that I don't want it to pull. So yeah, just the flat oil brush is really nice. I'm going off the reference that I had from Pinterest, and I would in the future make it a little more different from the reference, but I'm still learning how to do backgrounds, and I just wanted it to be as cohesive as possible. So in the future I'll improvise more, but for this I was like, I want it to be really nice. I have a feeling this will be a good drawing, and so I just kind of went strictly off the background reference. I didn't color pick though. I finally stopped doing that like a year ago. Oh, and here are some of my like inspirations. I love Matt Rhodes so much, I could scream. I really like the way he balances stuff. And then also Adam Hughes, again, just the nice rendering balanced with like the heavy line art for the outline. And so yeah, those are my biggest inspirations. And then here I am just adding more texture. Yeah, just more colors, because like for some reason on my tablet like the colors are kind of off, and so I always have to go in and make it more saturated than I think I should. But yeah, here I am just adding, again, just little highlights, little points of contrast, nothing crazy, because I'm just not at that point in the painting yet, and I need to slow down, because this took me I think like 3-ish hours total, and I really need to teach myself to slow down, because this could be a lot better, but I get so in the zone and I find it really hard to like go back and revisit old things. So I'm like, if I don't finish it in a day right now, will I ever finish it? I don't know. And so yeah, I do that, and then here I am just like putting in the flat colors on him. I really want to make a whole like world out of these characters, because they're all obviously fantasy inspired, probably inspired a little too much by Dragon Age. I love Dragon Age so much. I could make a whole separate video about it, and I probably will, if this goes well. But I can already tell, like, I'm already rambling. I'm talking too fast. I did not plan this well, because I'm like speaking over my speed paint with like pictures I added in to like have things to talk about, and those went by way too fast. But it's okay, it's okay. And so yeah, here I am. I'm already kind of overdoing it on the armor, and so I smudge it out again later, I think, in the video. But yeah, I was really inspired by what I had on Pure Ref, and then I just really like ornate armor, but I didn't want to overdo it again, because like when you look at stuff by like Matt Rhodes and Adam Hughes, like the outfits especially are never very detailed. It's more like an emphasis on texture, and here I'm not really doing that. I'm doing my usual over-rendered style, but it's okay, it's okay. I learn throughout this little process. And so yeah, I might shut up for a bit. But oh, of course I say that, and then I think that's where I took like a 15-minute break again. But okay, I'm back, and I couldn't decide on the color of this stuff. I know I wanted it to be blue, but at a certain point it was like leaning a bit too royal, because I wanted him to be a little rugged. Like, he's a commander, but he's not, I don't know, like he was looking a little bardy, which I didn't enjoy. But yeah, and he kind of looked like Raphael from Baldur's Gate 3, and I was like, this, I don't it's not the vibe, it's not the vibe that I am going for. He needs to be a little rugged, a little mysterious. So yeah, I'm also proud of, like, well, I mean, it's in its ugly phase right now, but he looks like planted, or at least at the end of this piece he looks like planted in the environment. I really struggle with that in general. It always looks like my characters are like floating above whatever scene I make. So I'm happy with how this turned out, and I'm happy with the colors I ended up using. I couldn't decide how to like render the scale mail that I end up putting on him, and I go through lots of iterations of the sleeve and stuff. And what's nice about the flat oil brush is that you can just keep going over stuff You don't have to like really doctor it up to change anything. So yeah. Sorry, shut up for a bit. Yeah, also couldn't decide what to do with the sleeve, so I ended up doing these like gold little chains and coins. Yeah, and it's really, yeah, I can't stop like worshipping the brush, but it really makes all the difference. And I tried to keep it like on a few layers just so everything could kind of blend into each other and show like the illusion of detail. Because again, like the problem with my stuff before and like what I still struggle with is, again, the over renderedness to it. And when I have it all on one layer, like having to manually fix things and like stuff kind of blending into each other, even if it's a mistake, it ends up kind of looking nicer than if I had done the clean line art and done everything to make sure it was really nice and clean. So yeah, it's kind of nice to like work over it. I ended up not liking the top part and I redo it later in the video because it's like too much is going on. Too much. And I think at this point, like I've been staring at my screen for 2 hours-ish, and so I don't realize how muddy it looks. And so yeah, I spent a lot of time redoing that part, and I wish I just gave up on that design because it just was not working. And so yeah. Ooh, my favorite part was doing the scale mail. I had to look up a lot of references, and I don't think the lighting makes complete sense in the way that it turned out, but I'm like, it looks pretty, so I'll keep it. And I like the way it's like draped. And so yeah, I was getting like really detailed again, and then I kind of loosen it up and it makes it look a little nicer and less serious. I don't know. I'm trying not to repeat words in this video. I don't think I've ever talked for 20 minutes consecutively, so we'll see how this ends up. But yeah, I just go in with like the highlights of it, and then that sort of gives the illusion that all the scales are there. And so then I go into the boots. Boots were also hard because like his feet looked kind of detached from his body, and that ends up kind of being fixed at the end, but I'm still not completely happy with it. And again, if I just went back to it, it'd be okay, but I'm like, I spent like 4 hours on it. Do I really want to go back to it? And so yeah, I need to get over like my laziness, because I realize like I am the only one that can improve my art, and if I don't take the time to do it, then I'll just like plateau. But I was really happy with this actually. I felt like I've been plateauing recently, but I went on like a streak of doing just a bunch of portraits, because portraits are my favorite. Like full body stuff makes me tired. I love it, but it never turns out the way I want it to. This one, closest so far I've gotten to it being what I envisioned, which is really nice. So yeah, it's inspired me to keep on doing the full body stuff, because I do want to be a concept artist. And it's like, I will not be a concept artist if I can't draw the whole figure. And like everyone wants to be a character artist, and I'm like, I gotta learn, I gotta lock in. Here I am with the sword. Again, I wish I spent more time on the sword. It's kind of boring. But it's like, I guess not everything has to be interesting. He can just be a normal guy. But it's like, I wish he had a cool sword. But it's okay. It's okay. And so yeah, going in, refining the feet, took another break, and then yeah, I'm glad I went back to the boots, because I was gonna leave it and it just didn't look right, so I added a few more details there. And I ended up adding like a pretty strong line art to the outside of him to kind of match like the style of Matt Rhodes and Adam Hughes a little bit more, because it was looking really rendered. And still the armor is like a lot more rendered compared to everything else. But it is like the focus of the piece, so I guess it's okay. But it's still like, I just struggle with finding the balance to it. And yeah, here I am adding details to the face. I ended up like scrapping, I think, all of this just because it did not look right. And like, again, when I look at like my inspiration drawings, like there isn't much detail to the face, but there's still like, you can still pick up on like the age of the characters and stuff. So I just put lines where it most mattered and then left the rest kind of a vague, blurry hue. And I think it ended up looking kind of nice, especially like the hair. I like the way the hair is blurry, and I like the contrast between that and the armor that's more solid. I might blend more of the armor in the future, or just blend like the costumes of my characters more. But yeah, and then I go in and just add a few little gray hairs. And then yeah, that's basically all done, his face. I was kind of disappointed because I was the most excited for the face because I love doing faces. And then I was like, oh, this really doesn't need as much doctoring as I thought it did to look nice. And so yeah, there he is. Still adding just a couple more details so it's not completely different from the armor. And then here I am adding just a thicker line to the outside. And yeah, I left the hands kind of blurry because I can't do hands, but it ends up looking pretty okay. And then I go in and blur some of the armor a bit more because I didn't realize, yes, I love the flat oil brush, but when you work with it really tiny, it tends to get kind of pixelated compared to other brushes. So I blended that out a bit, and there are still parts that are a little more pixelated than I'd like, but it's okay. And here I finally get to the background. This part is so satisfying to me because it finally makes it so that he's not just like sitting there in the air. He finally feels like a part of the scene. And yeah, I just go in, I look at the reference, but I also kind of improvise like the colors a little bit, just because since this armor is so colorful, I didn't want it to be too different. And so yeah, just going in. Grass is kind of annoying. Foreground is annoying because I can never make it look right either, because sometimes it just looks like a really artificial like vignette whenever I do it. But this one was okay. And then I add just a little bit of shadow. I'm assuming I should have looked at more references for this, but since the sun was like setting or rising, like the shadow would be really low and stretched out to the ground. And so I just kind of made it really blurry and a long shadow stretching back, and that looked sort of okay. And then yeah, I just keep adding kind of grayish, greenish, yellowish tones. And so yeah, I've been watching a lot of landscape painting videos, and that's been really helpful, especially just with like atmospheric, I forgot the word, atmospheric pressure, I don't know, just making sure all the colors are like darker in the front and then they sort of go to a grayish bluish tone as you step back, and just making sure there's like more details in the front, less details in the back. And like, I know it seems like obvious stuff, but like I would just add crazy amount of details to everything when like that is not how eyesight works. And so yeah, I just kind of looked off the picture, but still like improvised where some of these patches were. Yeah, I really just used the reference for like the mountains in the back and just like as a color reference, and then just kind of did whatever looked nice for the actual details. And so yeah, he still kind of looks funky the way he's planted, but still better than usual, so that's why I say I'm still proud of it, because like I can put in my other drawings that have looked just kind of floaty, but he's the most planted so far, which is nice. And then I'm adding like some more texture brushes. I depart from the flat oil brush. I'll have to look up what brush pack that is. But yeah, I just keep going. I test out some of the Clip Studio stuff and I'm like, this doesn't look that good. So I go back to some of the ones I had downloaded off the store. So yeah, still just adding more details, make it a bit grayer in the back. I struggle with clouds so much, so I use like a mix of just the Clip Studio cloud brush, and then I kind of go in with the flat oil to make the shadows and stuff. And I end up kind of keeping a lot of the texture in the sky because I feel like it looks nice. I like it. And it makes it look like it has more depth than it actually does. So yeah, I just go over it just a little bit with the blue, and then here I am adding like finishing touches, finishing mask layers with like glow or add, I think. And yeah, just adding some sunlight, and then I think that's pretty much it. And then I mask it out and add more glows. And so yeah, thank you for watching.